The Caribbean sky is not what it used to be. In the humid air between Puerto Rico and Venezuela, sleek, dark silhouettes cut through the clouds without a sound. To the untrained eye, these are just distant glints of metal. But to anyone watching radar screens in the command centers of Caracas, they are a clear and undeniable message. F-35 Lightning Secus and MQ-9 Reaper drones, the ultimate symbols of American reach and advanced air power, are now hunting in a region that was long defined by shadows, secrecy, and open smuggling. What once looked like a distant, routine war on drugs has been decisively transformed into a theater of precision, deterrence, and inescapable confrontation. This is not about random patrols. This is about the United States openly projecting its most advanced technology against the drug cartels linked to the Venezuelan regime. These are criminal networks that long ago evolved past simple smuggling. They have become paramilitary entities with regional influence. They believed they could operate beyond the reach of traditional law enforcement, blending criminal logistics with complete political protection. This era of impunity has now collapsed. The United States has made its move to match their arrogance and complexity with overwhelming technological dominance. The F-35s for total control in the air, and the Reapers for constant, relentless surveillance below. The collapse of this criminal empire begins here, with a shift in the skies. The enemy we face is deeply entrenched and operates under the protection of a compromised state. The primary targets are the Cartel de los Soles, a syndicate whose reach extends directly into the Venezuelan military, and the Tren de Aragua, a ruthless transnational gang. The Cartel de los Soles is named after the sun insignia worn by Venezuelan generals, a clear blueprint for how corruption and smuggling intersect with political power. This is not a nickname, it is an organizational structure. For years, the Caribbean skies and seas served as their silent, safe lifelines, funneling narcotics, illegal gold, and cash northward, shielded by corrupt military elites. But the landscape has changed permanently. Where smugglers once saw absolute safety, they now see the shadows of unseen American engines and the sudden, precise evidence of destruction. The operation is a decisive, full-spectrum campaign designed to starve these Maduro-linked cartels of their lifeblood and their oxygen. The new doctrine is the Kill Web, an alliance that has definitively rewritten the rules of this shadow conflict. It is a seamless, adaptive network that does not just hunt targets, it eliminates them.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
For the cartels and their backers, the era of impunity is now collapsing under the weight of this decisive technological superiority. The MQ-9 Reaper drones, once familiar symbols of counterterrorism, are now the unblinking, tireless eyes of this operation. They circle above the Caribbean waters, constantly scanning for fast boats and hidden cargo vessels carrying the cartel's poison. Their high-resolution optical sensors and advanced radar arrays can pinpoint the heat signature of a small engine from miles away. With an endurance that can exceed 20 hours, the Reaper delivers persistence. It makes evasion impossible simply by never leaving. The F-35 Lightning II is the other half of this dominant equation. It is the most advanced stealth fighter ever built, an aircraft that converts raw data into immediate, decisive dominance. The F-35 does more than fly. It thinks, sees, and communicates across the entire battle space. Its advanced sensors fuse radar, infrared, and electronic intelligence into a single, comprehensive picture. The F-35 acts as both the predator and the scout. Its radar-absorbent skin allows it to slip undetected into contested airspace, gathering information that is completely invisible to the antiquated radar and satellite systems of the adversaries. When a vessel's radar turns off in a panic, an F-35 is already airborne, unseen, closing the gap in minutes. This is not a matter of theory. This is happening now. The seamless integration of these two platforms creates an inevitable rhythm of control, sudden and sustained, fast and patient, visible and invisible. This integrated kill chain is faster than any cartel can react to. In moments, a smuggling boat can transition from invisible to annihilated. The message is blunt and final. There is nowhere left to hide. The US campaign has already moved past the point of simple warnings. It has gone kinetic. Several maritime interdictions have already ended explosively. A strike in August destroyed a narco boat allegedly crewed by the Cartel de los Soles. This was confirmed as the fourth such strike in the region that summer. According to reporting, 11 cartel operatives were eliminated in one engagement alone. This is not an isolated mission. It is a systematic, ongoing campaign of attrition. Each successful strike is an intermittent reward, confirming the total failure of the enemy's protection system. For decades, the United States treated the drug war as a law enforcement issue, focused on arrests and extraditions. This new chapter redefines the rules. When cartel factions were legally designated as foreign terrorist organizations, the line between criminal and combatant disappeared. This decisive shift opened the door for military engagement without judicial process, allowing a drug lord coordinating with state militias to be treated like a battlefield target. This is why the F-35s matter beyond simple surveillance. They bring options. They can fly undetected, gather intelligence, and deliver precision strikes on inland targets, airfields, storage depots, or radar installations linked to trafficking. For the first time in years, U.S. aircraft capable of penetrating defended airspace are operating just hours from the Venezuelan capital. This is not an invasion. It is intimidation with altitude, a continuous assertion of dominance. The political response from Caracas has been predictable: outrage and baseless accusations of acts of aggression. Venezuelan state television shows radar operators tracking phantom contacts, claiming U.S. aircraft are violating their airspace. But behind this empty bluster, the regime understands the true subtext. These F-35s are not routine patrols. They are a political weapon aimed directly at Nicolas Maduro himself. The U.S. accuses his government of facilitating drug exports in exchange for money and the crucial loyalty of the military elite. Every overflight completely undermines his claim to control. Every intercepted vessel destroys a financial artery. By tightening the noose on the cartels, the U.S. decisively squeezes the very regime that protects them. This is economic warfare waged with air power. The technological edge is what guarantees this dominance. The F-35 can detect communication nodes, radar emissions, and even heat signatures from hidden fuel depots, turning every signal into a digital breadcrumb leading straight back to the cartel leadership.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
In a region where cartels rely entirely on concealment and speed, this capability is devastating to their morale and logistics. Meanwhile, the MQ-9 Reapers execute the monotonous, vital task of endurance surveillance. They are the tireless eyes, watching for the moment a ship deviates from its course or a coastal radar station mysteriously goes offline. When a target is confirmed, a Hellfire missile ends the story in seconds. Cold efficiency has replaced the old narrative of warnings and clumsy chases. This is inevitability in action. The precision of this campaign is deliberate, but the risk of escalation is constant. Venezuela's aging air defense systems, including Russian-built S-300s, still guard key military sites. Any miscalculation could trigger a dangerous chain reaction. In one instance, a Venezuelan officer claimed their radar briefly tracked an unidentified stealth aircraft near the Paraguaná Peninsula. The U.S. denied any incursion, but the incident served as a potent near miss, reminding both sides how thin the line is between surveillance and outright provocation. For U.S. planners, that tension is deliberately controlled. By keeping the F-35s visible enough to be noticed, but elusive enough to remain untouchable, Washington reinforces deterrence without crossing the threshold into open conflict. This is psychological warfare, a battle of nerves waged relentlessly in the skies. The cartels, adaptable as ever, are being forced to change their entire model of operation. They are resorting to smaller shipments, decentralized routes, and even experimental drone swarms for deception. Some groups are now using semi-submersibles, low-profile vessels that are difficult to track. But every one of these desperate innovations increases their cost and the operational complexity. The American strategy is not to intercept every single shipment. It is to make trafficking so dangerous, so totally unpredictable, that the profit margins collapse completely. Every destroyed boat, every captured operative sends ripples of fear through the entire network. This constant attrition is the intermittent reward for U.S. forces and the inevitable, crushing humiliation for the cartels. This pressure is also fracturing loyalties inside Venezuela. Elements of the military tied to the Cartel de los Soles now face mounting risk and exposure. U.S. intelligence has reportedly intercepted communications between officers desperately debating whether to cooperate with the traffickers or save themselves. When corruption becomes a liability, fear becomes leverage. The presence of the F-35s and Reapers accelerates this shift, not just through firepower, but through the decisive knowledge that exposure is now inevitable. This is the tribal dynamic at work. The adversary's internal system is being turned against itself, confirming their utter weakness. This operation is about more than just drug seizure. It is about the complete and decisive control of the Caribbean and the absolute credibility of U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere. The deployment demonstrates that Washington has both the will and the necessary means to dominate the region's airspace. This sends a decisive message of reassurance to allies like Colombia and Panama. It also delivers a blunt, powerful message to rival foreign powers like Russia, China, and Iran that attempts to use Venezuela as a hostile foothold come with unacceptable risk. The precedent is now set. Transnational criminal groups that adopt the tactics and structure of armies will be treated and targeted like armies. For the cartels, the operational environment is one of chaos and overload. Smuggling networks operate like arteries, fluid and flexible, but completely vulnerable to targeted pressure. When pressure is applied everywhere at once, in the air, on the sea, through data, and through strike capability, the system suffocates. Every new F-35 sortie and Reaper patrol compounds the uncertainty. Boats stay docked longer. Flights are delayed. Corrupt officers now hesitate to sign off on manifests, fearing exposure. This paralysis is the strategic goal. The results are already tangible and deeply humiliating for the cartels. Trafficking corridors that once operated with mechanical military precision are now completely chaotic. Flights loaded with contraband simply vanish mid-route. Coastal communities that were once dominated by arrogant cartel logistics hubs now report an eerie, profound quiet. Intelligence intercepts confirm fractured communication. Operators are speaking in fear, unsure who is watching and who to trust. The air, once their shield, has become an enemy. Their control is broken. The skies no longer belong to them. The skies over the Caribbean have changed, and with them, the entire logic of deterrence has been permanently altered. The F-35s and MQ-9 Reapers are not merely aircraft. They are precision instruments of strategy and message. Every decisive drone strike on a drug boat, every silent overflight near Venezuelan airspace, is part of a coordinated campaign to dismantle the financial and political machinery that sustains the region's cartels. This campaign is not measured by arrests made or simple numbers seized. It is measured by a fundamental shift in the psychology of power. This is a war on invisibility. For decades, the traffickers thrived in the blind spots of radar and the jurisdictional gaps between nations. Those blind spots are gone forever. The same technology used to hunt terrorist networks in the Middle East now scans the Caribbean's glittering waters. The same jets that deter major global adversaries now hover within reach of the Venezuelan coast. Every hum of an engine in the night is a constant, suffocating reminder to traffickers and compromised politicians that their time in the shadows is rapidly ending. The message is unmistakable, a cliffhanger that defines the new normal The United States has brought its most advanced weapons to the doorstep of a narco state, and it fully intends to use them if provoked. In policy rooms, the consensus is clear. This is not a temporary escalation, but the decisive birth of a standing doctrine. A doctrine where intelligence equals action, where deterrence equals destruction, and where every illegal network is now treated as a legitimate enemy combatant. The architecture for this enduring dominance is already in place. The fusion of sensors, the advanced platforms, and the legal authorities. When the U.S. legally authorizes airstrikes against traffickers, the boundary of what counts as an imminent threat begins to shift. That flexibility is power, and it is this strategic shift that defines the American advantage. The strategic challenge remains a final paradox of control, the very tools that grant the U.S. This complete dominance also demands disciplined control. Precision requires unwavering restraint, and dominance requires sound judgment. The success of this immediate, disruptive campaign will ultimately not be measured by the number of strikes carried out, but by the lasting stability that follows. The ability to strike in real time must never overshadow the reason for the decisive action. The campaign continues, built on the inevitability that American power will expose and dismantle any threat built on the fragile foundation of shadows and corruption. This is the new reality. This takedown was just the start. The fight isn't finished. On your screen is the next video. Click the video, it opens right away, and you'll see the cartels crushed even harder.